Hello, viewers. You're watching The Quality Times. A very good evening to you. This is your host, Ankita Bose. We are back within our evening show with a very specific topic. I would like to say that have we ever just given a thought about how women has played a major role in this pandemic? I'm sure you have. But why don't we just throw a little bit light upon that again more today, this evening? So for that, we have very successful for working professionals with us, also authors, and we would like to introduce you to them, and we would like to hear from them on this very major theme at this point of time. So I would like to thank our esteemed panelists for joining us today. So we have with us Dr. Sagareeka Roy Bhatia. She's an author, an edu coach, and a head of a school. And Dr. Sonia Sharma, she's a dentist and author. Miss Naseeha Sameen, she is an author and manager at Workforce Management and Business Analytics. And Dr. Farah Haseeb, a general dentist in Oman, writer and a poet. Very welcome to our show. Thank you so much for joining
Hello.
with us. Yes, just to come back to our theme, I would like to say that it has been over 4.5 months, if I'm not wrong. Like we are all stuck at home and doing lot of activities, and we have learned, we have evolved, and like we have been saying a lot of time that India has gone ahead over a decade. It has developed in all the fronts. So, without taking much of the time, I would directly go to our topic today, how women can play a massive role in this pandemic, and how women has already played a massive role in it. Because if we start looking after the education sector, healthcare sector, it's predominant with a women workforce if we talk. So they are already excelling a lot and taking care of the country, and I'm sure they will, and we will get better with days. So talking from household, managing family, to office, to kitchen, and to countries as well, if we talk about. So I would directly like to go to our panelists and let us, I would like to know your experience all these days, and what has been the experience juggling with all of these things. And if your opening comments, Nasiha ma'am, we would like to invite you to speak first.
Hi, hello everybody. I'm Naseeha, and as my profile said, that I manage workforce. And for us, lockdown started in the month of March. But for a person who is in workforce, our planning starts from January. We have to work 2 months ahead of time. So basically, I'll be talking a little more on uh, the role that women play and how pandemic has changed it. And so before going a little ahead, I would like to take you through what was happening before 2020. This is our demographics of our workforce. Women are underpaid, which is a common truth for all of us. Gender pay gap is stuck at 16% globally, but in some countries it's as high as 35-36%. And the unpaid care and domestic work that a woman spend is almost 3 times more. For every 94% of men, we have only 63% of women. And to get this economic parity, can you guess how many years we need? We are 257 years back. We need, that's the years we need to come up to bridge this gap. Now, talking about, we all were evolving, reaching that stage, and then 2020 happened. And when 2020 happened, the gap that increased. So, today in this discussion, I would like to. Can you see my screen?
Yes,
Yeah,
we
we
can.
do.
Yes.
Yeah, we can.
Okay. I'll be talking more about how this pandemic has widened the gap. we know how the unpaid care and domestic work that a woman does at home, that has also become very skewed. And the current trend and the future, if this pandemic continues for 2 to 3 months more, how it will impact our future in workforce, for especially for women. I'll also take a look at how the leaders, especially women leaders, because this is an irony. At one point of time, we are saying that there is disparity, there is a gap, but at the same time, there is a proof that how women leaders have excelled in the time of crisis. What makes them, what sets them apart? What makes them successful? And what, in my opinion, what we can do, each one of us, every day to change this. And that is what I would be covering today. And since this is a very, this topic is very close to my heart, being 16 years in workforce, I, and my life is divided into two parts. Day, it's workforce. Night, it's writing. So even my books that I write, uh, I write fiction, and most of them are women oriented, but in a different period. So my book Air, which talks about a female and her, a princess of 16 years old, and her struggle to live and to get what she wants in the time of conspiracy and politics that was going around in the empire. So that's what I'll be talking about.
Right.
Ankita, over to you.
Yes. Okay. So we got to see the data that how backward still we are, and like we saw, I think she just mentioned 257 years that we are still
Yes.
behind. But again, we also will also see that how women has also taken a very huge leap of faith, struggling, managing all of these things. We never thought, women never thought who that they will be also feeding the kid in one hand and again working and finishing her presentation on the other hand, and also taking maybe an online class just 15 minutes later, and also maybe finishing her course at the kitchen as well. We will also talk about the other perspectives, the other genre of the society as well, whose stories we perhaps haven't heard, or maybe doesn't get that much of limelight. Before that, we would like to come to Dr. Sagareeka Bhatia. She is an edu coach, an author, and also head of a school. So, women empowerment, if we talk about and how women has played a major role, it would be like education sector. If we know the future of digital education, the Policy Times has done a lot of webinars on education, and we have been minutely connected to the teachers and the principals and share, listening to their experiences, and it is really, really appreciable to all of those in the education sector. And not to forget, women are predominant in this sector. Over to you, Dr. Sagarika, to share your experience and what has been in the digital education front as well, how women has played a major role.
Thank you very much, Ankita. And I'm actually humbled to be here on this particular platform with all other authors also. And I'm sure this platform is going to take us as co-authors tomorrow, as we are all going to be speaking on women empowerment. So we could also co-author books on women empowerment and help the women force, and especially what Naseeha had to say. I think we can co-author and we can have books and empower women. Yeah. So now coming to my area of work, as my profile says that I'm the head of school. I've been into the field of education for last 26 years, 26 plus years, in fact. And as you know that in education we have almost 76% women, and we women we rule. And if you see, most of the principals are also women. So women empowerment is something that is there from day one when you join the force, that is the education industry. And as rightly said by Swami Vivekanand, he says that what you are today is what you valued yesterday. and what you will be tomorrow, I repeat again, what you will be tomorrow is what you value today. So my value system has always been with uplifting women, and uplifting women to the simple reason, I mean, for the simple reason that in education we are all first housewives, we have our own families, and from there we emerge to become leaders, principals. And that's what my book, that is Just Expressions by me, speaks about. That is my whole journey from just a teacher to a leader, taking care of children, having two sons. During maternity leave, how did I use my maternity leave to upskill myself? So it has been a journey, it's been a journey, and I would really like to share this journey with all the women force in the education industry. And now, especially during these times, this COVID times, how we teachers have taken to digital teaching. Just, I mean, so simple as fish takes to water, you know, overnight the whole uh, teaching force moved. So this is something that is really commendable. It's very commendable, because we didn't have such kind of classrooms initially. That teachers were used to computers, teachers were used to teaching online. They were always it was always a physical touch and emotional connect with the children, and a physical presence in school. But suddenly going online, and not only going online, but managing the home, managing oneself, managing the family, and then managing the school, is really a work commendable. So over the period of this discussion, we will deep dive into how we have been managing this with our workforce, and how we have been upskilling our teachers also at the same time. All these things I'll be discussing during the course of time. Thank you very much, Ankita, and over to you.
Thank you so much. We would love to listen to you more on the minute details as well, because it will be an inspiration of lot of the schools. In fact, how they have been coping up with the digital education. We have also been doing such programs, and we got to see a varied explanation, challenges, and success stories as well. We would now like to listen to Dr. Sonia Sharma. She is a dentist and also an author, and I think she has a very nice perspective that she was mentioning earlier, that how there are some, जैसे हम कहते हैं कि अनकही कुछ बातें रह जाती है, there's untold stories and some success stories of the underprivileged sector of our society. I would not like to take much time. Over to you, Dr. Sonia.
Hi, Dr. Sonia, and I would like to begin my conversation with a few lines that I have written. कतरा कतरा हम मिटते रहे जिंदगी के सफर में, बिना ये जाने कि उनकी शह में ही डिसॉल्व हो गए। उन्हें शिकायत है फिर भी हम पहले से न रहे अब, हम इसी गुमान में थे कि हम तो इवॉल्व हो गए। So this is the story of every woman who is juggling between her personal life and her work life spheres. So me being a dentist, I mean, I had been a dentist for last 25 years now. And about 3 years back, I took a dive into. I discovered that I could author a book, and that is when my journey as an author began. And so far, I have authored about 5 books in a very short span of time. And the latest being my book by the name of The Battle Ahead, which is a story of a girl's struggle who's fighting for her rights in the state of J&K. Since I belong to the state of J&K, against Article 370, which is now abrogated, and we do have our right to inherit whatever was due to us. So this is a long journey. This is a long, journey in the sense that we all have taken the leap of faith, because we had been groomed that way. We had been fortunate in our upbringing that it came very naturally. A profession and a household work, everything came very naturally to us. But the problem is that how many people, how many women in India or globally are privy to this kind of a privilege? There is a very large percentage of women who are left out, who are children who are left out. And like Sadhika ma'am was talking about the digital education and how it has transformed. I mean, that's a very small number that we are talking about. There are 70% of people across India who do not have, access to digital mediums. Maybe they have a smartphone or something, but how many people have laptops? How many people can, and how many teachers can actually in the public sector, in the government schools, can afford that kind of a luxury, and how many children can afford that kind of a luxury? So reaching out to that kind of a population, that is going to be very challenging in this challenging time, and pandemic has opened a Pandora's box. All the effort that had been made to uplift the society, uplift the status of the women in past, I think, 90 decades after the suffragette movement, it has all gone waste, because lot has happened. And of course we have the success stories of some very unconventional women, but at the same time lot needs to be done about what is left undone. So I think in the course of our discussion we're going to be talking about that as well. Over to you, Ankita.
Thank you so much. We would love to hear more about those in our next round. I would like to come to Dr. Farah. She is right now from Oman. She's a general dentist, author, and a poet. And we will be focusing, I think she will be mostly the kind of discussion we also had. I think a very, very nice thing that how unity among women in these hard times can empower women more. And in especially this time, I think she can throw light upon that very remarkably. Over to you, ma'am.
Hello, namaste. So I'm here, Dr. Farah. I'm a dentist, and I'm Indian, of course, born and raised in India, but I'm here working in Oman since almost 4 years. Before I'd like to begin the role of women in this pandemic, I'd like to say like it should not be just encircled in the name of pandemic. Women has a lot of roles in all the horizons. So I have just penned down just one poem right now for the women, and like to speak about it. Oh, woman, you're everything. It's melodious, so keep on to sing. Sky is your, so acknowledge your wing. You can rise above every ring. So now, this is a small thing I'd like to say about women, though if I'll keep speaking, it will take a lot of time. You know what? Like women are the structural unit of the society. Our country, our town, our model. So, but from where it starts, like if you see any system, a human system or any system, it starts with one structural unit. So the structural unit of any society, I'd like to say it's a woman, because woman is the one who shapes the society. It is always said like if you educate a man, you educate or you helps in the development of one family. But if you educate a woman, it's not just about one family, you helps the rising of a society, because women is the one who shapes. If you see any pyramid, ecological pyramid, so each of its hierarchy has to work in unit. So similarly, I'd like to say today, like for the development of the women all around the globe, we need to discover things like empathy, benevolence. That is the need of the time, because in this pandemic, yeah, women are like, some of them are lucky enough they are working, some of them are just locked in the four walls, just taking care of the house and taking care of the kids kitchen, and it's a very wonderful job in themselves. But sometimes it develops a lot of pressure and stigma on them, on the like how the things will proceed. There are financial problem, a lot of issues. So some women are suffering depression in this problem, in this lockdown period. Even some of the news are popping up, we are seeing in day-to-day news flash, like the women are the victim of some violence, sexual abuse. So that is also a very topic to be concerned about. So I'm going to share my thoughts and what I have discovered in this period over all these things. Like first we need to develop some like our thought, our vision, we have to widen it from our day-to-day life. So like how our one step can create a big difference tomorrow. Like I should be reachable to whoever I can be. Either it's my patient or it's my housemate. mean, thank God, thanks to God, if I am, I'm having the caliber, or if I'm privileged enough, so why I shouldn't? Like one small step for a man can be a great change for the mankind. That's been always been said. So that is what I'm going to talk about today. Thank you so much, and I express my heartiest gratitude to Policy Times to give me this chance, to Invisible Publisher, and this is the book I have authored, Poles of Life. So in the meantime, we'll talk about that as well. Thank you so much.
Sure, definitely. Thank you so much for taking up such a beautiful topic, that how, we should always be reachable to other women, to appreciate them, and to also listen to them, at least, that, whatever they need to say, maybe some of their success stories, if we listen to them and encourage them, and also in their hard times, whatever it is, if we could just share the thoughts with them and appreciate their very little task, even what they have done, to, commend them in every aspects what they are doing every single day, and especially in the challenging times. So we can just come to the next round and just speak about more details about what we spoke in the first round. If we come to Naseeha ma'am, then how has been exactly, like you were saying, your experience in the workforce, and how you think that women, uh, the participation or the inclusion of the women in the workforce has made a massive impact, and how it has been as a whole, if you could just share. And maybe at this point of time, India, what is the percentage, like you said, women in the workforce and their success rates towards the betterment of a country?
So, Ankita, to be very honest, we have a massive percentage of workforce in healthcare sector, in education sector. But when it comes to our corporate side, the representation of women is too less, especially in a specialized field like workforce management. You would hardly see a woman because if the job profile says 24 by 7 availability, high stress, you see the number of women coming up to those jobs is less. Now, I wouldn't just blame that it's because women are not used to taking stress. It's not so. The root cause is something deeper. The root cause is also lies with the fact that the society that we are in places a lot of demand of household work on a woman. Now, if you can see this graph here, on an average, a woman spends 4.1 hours in a day for unpaid care of domestic work, and you compare that with a man, which is 1.7 hours a day. That's a huge difference. Now, especially with for India, that number is still a little higher. It is 10 times more of this number that we have set. Now, the reason why women are not in the job profile that I'm talking about is because the moment they have to balance between the need of their homes and society and the work. Now, with this pandemic coming in India, the increase the burden on a women has increased by 30% more. Now the women has to go to, she earlier she used to go to office. Now she's not going to office, she's managing it from home. But at the same time she has kids. Now kids are at home, they are not they are not in schools, so she has to take care of their studies as well. Teachers are doing a lot wonderful job, but on ground reality it's the mother who has to make sure that the mobile is on. I have been reading a lot of Facebook updates, LinkedIn updates saying that, wow, I realize I am helping my wife today. I'm not taking any names, but these are the specific quotes I have read. I helped my wife today in doing the dishes, and we are sharing the load. And first thing that strikes me, hello, are you just doing it now because you're at home? How blind were you that when she used to come back from office after 8 or 10 hours of shift and still had to go and make a cup of tea for herself and for you. So the and if Justin Roberts, who is the founder and chief executive of Mumsnet, the biggest online network for parents, she has quoted this saying that the reason why uh, for a women it's always a second shift at home, and there's a huge pressure on them, and they feel that okay, my first and foremost duty is towards my home, and that again creates a trouble pressure for them in office, because they feel that they will get into trouble at office because they are not able to perform as well as men do. uh, we know this for sure. For the same kind of role, a woman has to work 3 times more than a man does in corporates, and this is a harsh reality. Why? Because of this perceived uh, thought process that a woman's first and foremost thought is with her home. She first focuses on her home, and then she comes to office, as office is a extension. It is not a necessity for her. It's sad because we don't ask the same question to a man. We don't assume that a job for a man is not a necessity but a luxury, because he just wants to do a work. So this is how the pressure has been building up on a women. The scales are not balanced at all. Now with the COVID scenario, you won't believe, it's sad that in US around 60% of the jobs that are lost belong to women, in especially low paid sector. Bangladesh, 25% of women who are in garment industry are now unemployed. Sex worker, around 1 million in US and 1.2 to 3 million in India, are facing loss of income. And this is not all. The reason why we are looking at this trend with a little bit of fear is, for a women, we know we grew up with this assumption that in a heterosexual household it's women who has to sacrifice her job to manage the home, and that is the leading problem for women dropping out of workforce to participate uh, in women participation. Their career progression takes a hit, and there is always an increase in gender pay because of this. With COVID coming into the picture, schools closing down, it is expected, and what we are seeing, the trend will be that it will lead to early marriages of women, and the higher rate of pregnancy for women who are at home, and some of them will never even come back to workforce or come back to the schools. So this is what it looks like. uh, I don't want to sound like a doomsday alarmist, or but then this is a hard reality that we are looking at, that 1 year down the line, the percentage of workforce, the percentage of women in workforce will reduce. A lot of them will never return back from uh, return back to work, and that will again bring in much more gender, uh, the difference in salary in gender, which is now at 16%, will move up to 18 or 20%. And also, it will bring in a lot more of problems that we have not yet fathomed at this moment, especially
Exactly.
on the mental health.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the amazing presentation of the minute details, not only in our country, but again, if we how we could relate to the data and graphics of the other countries as well. Like you mentioned, like there will be reduction in the workforce, and we can see a lot of drastic shift in lot of aspects. Like so many people, like you said, won't be getting back to workforce in the rural areas. Also, they will be exposed to a lot of violence, to a lot of sexual violence and all. So coming back to that point, if we also go to the graphics and say that in education sector, like we have been working with campaigns as well, with a hope to spread digital education. We have been knowing that UNICEF has been saying that there will be crores of children who will be school dropouts after this period, and they are not privileged ones. They won't be getting any education. They have not been getting yet because there are no smartphones, there are no tablets, there are no laptops, there are no internet connections, and they are just idle. The teachers are taking a lot of pains to reach out to them. Coming over to that, Dr. Sagarika, would like to know from you, what has been the experience in the education sector, and what would you like to throw light upon in this sector, and women playing a massive role in it?
The sector due to COVID and post-COVID has gone through a massive. I mean, it's. I would say it's a metamorphosis. Because this is something that is totally unprecedented. We never expected something like this. And especially in India, it's only in tier one cities that teachers have laptops and teachers are trained with respect to digital classrooms, having technology aided lessons. But in tier 2 and tier 3 city, it has always been a physical appearance, as I have told you before. So now what has happened is that in these particular times, dealing with children has been a major. I mean, how do you get children to the classroom? That is a major challenge for all the teachers. For me as a head of school, that is a challenge every day we are facing. We call up children, we have to call up children that come on, please join the class, and then don't. And then there are households where there is only one mobile phone and there are three children, so that is also another concern. And then somebody is using the father's mobile phone in between, then the father receives call, father receives SMSs, then there are disconnections. So there are lot of minute problems that we face. But then still, as we women, we stand strong and we stand tall in whatever comes our way. So the teachers have been that way. But then let me tell you again, the times are such that at home there are people who are undergoing a lot of domestic violence. So because of those reasons, mental health, depression is becoming a problem, and teachers are also facing the same. And for me as a head of school, to get them all on one platform to keep them motivated is also another challenge. So the women, I mean, empowerment, it is day in and day out, every minute. And we also have psychologists on board, because it is very important that the psychologists keep a watch on how children are taking to these online classes. you know so for them also, we keep monitoring all these things day in and day out. And for teachers, upskilling, very important, because they were not used to this kind of mode of transferring information. So upskilling is important. So then we put them through a lot of courses through Coursera's, edX, and all of these, so that they small courses like no Excel, no Word, no this. So we did all of those. Lot of coaching, teacher training has been going on. Teacher training has been a continuous process. We've been putting them through various webinars, wherein they have been I mean, they don't feel left out, that they are also just another they are just in another state, but then they are also with the whole lot of teachers who are facing the same difficulties. And though we try to deliver our best with respect to the lessons, but then still there are many challenges, and there are many roadblocks which we have to face, especially now with respect to the fees. The government and the fee structure, the debate which is going on, that online classes will be given to only those who have paid a fee. It should be half fee. Then the parents have, I mean, so many of the parents have a job, have lost their job, have a pay cut. So with all of these, even for us as head of school, it's a challenge managed to run the school. We are sandwiched between the parents, the student performance, and the management. So I think because we women are we've always been managing our home, our children, we've been multitasking always. So I think this is another aspect that has been added to our multitasking routine. And teachers are doing it all over, I mean all over, and they are, I think, doing it with a smile, because we've also been doing so many webinars, and I've been attending many principals webinars, and also everybody has a complaint, but at the end of the day, it is still a good picture to portray that yes, we have taken to the change very positively. And for whatever time this remains online education, I think we all have graduated very well. In the month of March and April, there were a lot of hiccups, a lot of roadblocks, but now after training the children, I mean training the teachers with soft skills, and how to deliver, and what is to be done, because there are, I mean, everywhere the network is not the same. The children have network problem. So recording lessons, sending lessons on WhatsApp, I mean, it has been for us, for me too, being in this particular position, it has always been a learning experience. Every day we are learning, because every day there's a different challenge, there's a totally different challenge, so but then overall the feeling has been very good. The way we women have all moved ahead and gone ahead, taking this particular challenge, is really amazing. And I think all of us need a pat on our back. All the teachers of India who are doing, not only India, everywhere it's the same everywhere, really require a pat on their back. The only thing is that other places the infrastructure is better, whereas in India, you know how it is with rural India, connections are very weak. So I think, yeah, we are gearing up, and that is being done very well, very well. I mean, they're
Exactly.
trying.
Just
Everybody's
to
trying. When I say very well, it is not 100%, but yes, it is better than before. And we are all trying. Nobody's given up. Nobody's given up. And the beauty of this is, as spoken, that every woman, every principal is helping another principal. There's so much of collaboration happening now during these COVID times. And that is the best thing, I think, which was lacking. Initially, it was a lot of competition. What I saw was a lot of competition amongst school principals, amongst ourselves, but now that competition has moved to collaboration, which is one of the best things that has happened during this time. Yeah.
exactly, I was just about to say the takeaway, I think, was which ma'am just ended, that but no one stopped. That is the thing. Neither of us, no one in any sector, no one stopped, and that too teachers with a smile. Still, they are coping up with these challenges. Without wasting much time, I would like to go to Dr. Sonia and listen to her views on this, like we discussed in the first round.
So, when we talk about my profession, I think my profession is one of the professions which is worst hit by the pandemic. Being a dentist, I mean, we are literally closed for over 4 months now, because we are dealing right in the space where the infection is. All we had been doing so far has been just doing the follow-ups, or just the emergency medications or telemedications. But in the other fields, when we talk about other fields of medicine, I mean, I think it's a very good picture, because the women are working a lot. There are about 40% of doctors who are women, and there are about 83% of your nurses which are women, who are doing an amazing job, and giving their best whatever they can. And in the medical fraternity, at least the women have stood up to the challenge, and they have taken it head on. Even otherwise, in the paramedical staffs, if we look at it, I mean, the other day I was hearing about the story of a woman who was a washerwoman, who was taking care of the clothes of this COVID hospitals. She died, leaving her two children behind. So there are those sad stories where these women have lost their lives because of COVID, and now how to go forward and take care of their children, that is again another issue. Other than this, I mean, like we talk about in education sector, like Radhika ma'am has talked about, the same thing, the gap between the rural and the urban center, it is become very wide now, because around 70% of our population is going to be left, um, not getting any kind of an education for at least another year or so, like Naseeha also said. And what are they going to do about it? So all the work that has been done over the years has been rendered undone, because now when we talk about in the state of Haryana, we have this slogan called Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. And then you hear something about the Chitrakoot incidents where these girls have been pushed into yeah, doing sexual favors in return of doing some getting money and doing work. How do you tell those people? How do you tell those people not to go in for infanticide or female infanticide or female feticide, which had been in practice in these states for a very, very long time? So all the efforts are just getting wasted because these stories of distress are coming across because of this sexual violence against these young minor girls and women in the households. What about all the domestic violence survivors? So these are the distressing stories. But at the same time, we have some very great stories of women who have worked wonderfully well. I mean, I was just reading about this efforts of 40 women from Gonda district of UP who took to nurturing about 5 lakh saplings in the month of February, and the crop is ready right now. And it has been bought by the Department of Rural Health department in UP under Manrega, and they're going to be earning about 30 lakh rupees. I mean, this is something amazing. I mean, they made use of their time when they had been, jobless. And secondly, we had been talking a lot about the women leadership in the countries like New Zealand and in countries like Germany. But back home, we have such wonderful examples. We have, not much talked about Smriti Irani, who has turned around the textile ministry into producing, 2 lakh PPE kits from zero that was produced in India. And though there is a layoff of workforce, about 30% of the textile industry has lost their workforce. But then one has to remember that she has probably saved the other 70%. So there are success stories all over. There are stories of distress, and then we have to just take everything in our stride and try to work as much as possible in those directions where we can at least save that those kind of people, or help, the women can help the other women. We have maids, who had and in a vicinity when we had these maids coming in, and a lot of them had been laid off. They were not given their dues because during the time of the COVID, because they were not working. So this is the time when it was incumbent upon other women, the women who at least could support the women who are not well provided for. So this is something, those little things that you do, you give that psychological support to these other women, and people who are not that privileged. I think that is a lot more than just the domestic work that all of us had been doing. And of course, like Naseeha said, there was this guy who said that I'm helping my wife doing this. No, you're not supposed to be helping. The problem is not with working or not working. The problem is whenever you have time and whenever you have initiative, if you are not working on your work from home scenario, whatever work that you're doing, if you're free, you don't have to help. You have to work. You have to take up the responsibility of sharing the load, because it's not one person's load. And at any given point of time, whenever one person is free, he or she can take the load evenly. One person should not be, I mean, a woman should not be totally responsible for running a house, and the men should not be helping. So I think the major role a woman can play, a mother can play in such circumstances, now that we face them, and we know the way the world is going to be facing, is we teach our sons not to do this, because this generation, the generation that we are in, is not going to change suddenly. Our husbands, our brothers, they're not going to change suddenly, because they have been conditioned in a particular way. We had been conditioned in a particular way, but then I think it's our younger generation which should understand that we have to groom our younger generation, our sons, our daughters, that we have to teach them equality. We do not have to make women empowerment a separate issue. It should not be. We have to empower both our children. We have to empower our entire generation to understand each other and work in coordination with each other, because when we talk too much about women working more or guys not working this way, it brings in a conflict. So we have to remove that conflict somehow and bring them to a table in where they can understand that whatever we do is for our own survival. So this is something, I think the basic responsibility of a mother, a woman, is to sensitize your children, sensitize both the genders, to work on that. Until and unless that happens, whatever we do, it's all going to be wasted. Yeah.
Absolutely. And like we said, this should have been from lot earlier as well. But along with that, if till now this hasn't happened yet, we should also utilize this time, that if we can see some better changes after this, right? So talking about, like Dr. Sonia also said, that women standing beside women, I think we'll go to Dr. Farah to know more about this, that how unity among women and in the hard times can also empower at this time especially. Over to you.
Hello. So yeah, I am just going to focus now on the three topics which I have prepared as exclusively on the three. Like, first, I believe like a lot of unity, kindness, and empathy can create a lot of difference. That is my first point. My next point is, you should be reachable. You should be reachable to whoever it is possible for you in your circle. And the third thing which I would like to focus, though it's a very small thing, if you'll see, it's like you should be non-judgmental. One woman should not judge another. This can also create a lot of difference. So, I mean, I have written a few lines about kindness. I'd like to mention them. O mankind, emerge to be more kind. World is in its acute need, so that for a better future, we'll give a better feed. So now, how empathy can create a great difference, how benevolence and love, unity can create a great difference. Like, if you are packed in a room, you're not working, and okay, you are taking care of your family, your household chores, your kids, and then you have everyone has some thoughts in their mind, and something is going in the back of our mind, and if you're not able to express it, if you're not going to talk it, it's going to be collected somewhere. So it's very important to be like, you should be in touch with your sisters or your cousins, your friends. So it's very important, like, when you are free, you should have a video call, a tele talk, so you can uplift other. You have a lot of things in your life going on, so you should just share it. And then in this lockdown, in this pandemic, like if you're suffering from financial issue or any such things, you should talk with your friend whom you trust, or your family member. So I personally, what I think about this, like, we if you are privileged enough and you are independent, so start a little bit more saving. You need not to be shopaholics or extravagant all the time. Like what you have saved a bit before, you can save a more of that, and be smart to invest. Like you can put it more in some deposits, some sort of more profitable deposits. And if you can create a difference, if you can give a smile just to one person, that is something great in itself. You should help them. If someone is your housemate, or someone, like someone your driver, or anyone, they need help, you can, if you are just giving a small help, that's a very big thing. Number two, I'd like to say, you should be reachable. In whatever way you are, like someone, if they are associated with NGO, someone is associated with police service or whatever, you should be reachable, because a lot of bad news are coming about the violence, physical violence, social violence, and unfortunately our society is like too stereotypical at this time. There's a lot of difference between man and women, no matter women where they reach, but still, like our patriarchal society, like, okay, this is a woman, that must be her fault, why she's not taking care of such thing, she should see this, she should see that. No, when you should must see in the deeper view. And if you feel like someone is not able to express their problem, you should be like at least reachable. You should try to provide some sort of help, or your one kind word can also create a great difference. if you feel someone is under some sort of physical violence or sexual violence, very young girls can suffer, a lot of STDs or something, which can also create a very bad impact on the society, or on her health. So you should be available with the medical service or any such things, like to provide help. Now the next thing, as our other co-speakers like Naseeha ma'am very nicely she has mentioned, like, to narrow this gap about the women and the men working, it will take a lot of years. So that's really a matter of concern. So, like, like if one is helping at least one, that one is helping another one, so it can create a chain reaction, and it will proceed geometrically, with time it can create a lot of difference, which is a good difference we can see. Next thing is, I saw how nicely Sagarika ma'am had mentioned about the reach of this. Nowadays, education is online, so it is not available for everyone. So, like, some people I'm seeing, like, every time a new iPhone is coming, and they're rushing to get the new model. So, like, okay, if you are getting a new model, why not this time you are helping someone to get at least an iPhone, not an iPhone, a smartphone, so that that they can avail education, because education is the only cure for any curse of the society. Like, if someone is educated, with time it can create a great difference. And I totally concur with what Sonia ma'am had mentioned about dentistry, because we deals with the aerosols. So in this pandemic, dentistry had suffered a lot in places like Paris and France. Dentists had done some sort of protest as well. So like, dentistry has suffered a lot in this time. So Dental Council of India, or wherever the country is, they should come and they should provide some sort of help to the dentist in this time. Unfortunately, I'll not go in that detail of dentistry profession because we are focusing on something else. And the next thing, like, um, women taking care of sanitizing the things at the home, of the house, like, what grocery we are doing of the kids, their husband, the clothes, and all the things. So that is creating a lot of pressure on her mind. When we take a lot of pressure, there are some hormones like serotonin hormones or happy hormones, its level goes down. So, well, in this case, depression is not a big thing, but society take it as a taboo, unfortunately. I mean, if someone is depressed or unhappy, every person has their own mode of taking it out. So someone just talk to other and they're okay, some they can't, so they need the help of psychiatrist. Or so society should not look at, oh my god, this girl is going to a psychiatrist just for the sake of depression. No, it's quite okay, you can go, and it should be reachable. Next thing, what I would like to say, like, you should not be judgmental. Like, in this time, I am seeing on lots of social media, Facebook, like, girls are doing sari challenge. It's all cool. It's all pretty cool. What is wrong in that? They are trying to
So,
create a lighten environment. So that I find this pretty okay. You can indulge in any sort of activity that lightens you up. You can, like, learn painting. You should take this lockdown positively. Positive attitude is very important. You can learn painting, writing, a musical instrument, whatever keeps you happy, you should do that. That is very important. So that's it I want to say in this round. And yeah, everyone was mentioning about women, this leadership, like Jacinda Ardern of New Zealand. I just went deeper to this. When you lift the wheel, you'll say, why this New Zealand has selected a woman and they are following all her commands. So the society at the basic unit is that educated that they are, they are supporting a woman. So that is what I said, like, the basic unit, or of any ecology, or the, like, cell is the basic unit of human being, that should function properly, so that the whole system will be, very healthy. That's what I want to mention.
Really, thank you so much. And like she just mentioned that if we cannot just even help, maybe in a kind of a monetary manner or any kind of help, we can at least lend our ears to all our friends, families, and colleagues as well. That will create a lot of effect. Like she was mentioning earlier, if we can at least, the minimal thing that we can do is lend our ears to them, and listen and talk, and maybe just like I mentioned earlier, appreciate in what she is doing and also encourage.
I
That
would like
is
to
the main
mention
thing.
one thing. If, like, women power, you can just see how women powerful she is. In this lockdown period, one girl had cycled long way, and she with her father. She was carrying her father. No son carried the father. A daughter carried her father long way from Punjab to Bihar. Though I am from Patna, so when I was very happy. And when I saw a tweet of Ivanka Trump had tweeted a girl from Bihar that she has taken her father long way, that's really appreciable. You should, like, you can just see how much potential does a woman have. So this potential should be projected on a large, in a large platform. Then things can be very much different. The picture can be totally different.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In every minute thing, if anybody, just even someone who has maybe not learned cooking yet, that's not a problem. But if she has tried something small and she can do wonders, I am sure. So, without, we are almost end of the discussion. I would like to take the closing comments from our panelists. Naseeha ma'am, I would like to come to you. Your closing comments on the complete scenario discussion and a small message on the role of women in this entire situation. Challenging times where women are doing absolutely great. Your comment on that.
So, my closing comments would be on I'll sum it up very rightly, Farah. The need of the hour is an act of random kindness. It can be as a smile. Uh, Very true. Today, the kind of turmoil we are seeing, if anybody can help us out, is that's our our great women in our education field, the teachers who are doing everything possible to make to minimize this effect of pandemic that is coming on the women. And the as Sonia added in her remarks, that it starts from home. Act starts from home. There is no need to segregate and say it's your work, go to kitchen, to a girl and say and ask a boy to go and pick up laundry from the or pick up vegetable from the market. So it all starts from home, that equality. Plus, what I believe in is, we have talked about great leadership. We talked about Yasinda, and there was a comparison done between the similar countries, New Zealand versus Ireland, and the numbers are speaking for themselves. There are huge difference in the way the numbers are there for COVID positive and death ratio. We talk about Serbia versus Ireland, wherein Anna is leading Serbia and Riven is leading from Ireland. So, what makes these women different? Very true. Underline is the education, the society, what the society that has elected it. But there is another aspect. Women leaders. There is a difference in leadership style, and that leadership style is, women leadership is more towards empathy, and they collaborate more. Their communication is more, and they like to run it with a democracy kind of setup. Another aspect that made these women leaders exceptionally successful during this COVID time is the anticipation and the risk factor that is perceived between the genders. All these women leaders, they did not take, they were risk adverse to, when it comes to health. They did not take much risk when it comes to health and death. So they said, we would rather take a hit on economy than to risk the health. And that's the reason they went into early lockdown. And that made a considerable difference between the number of positive cases in a country of similar stature, similar composition, similar population and demographics. So That is what makes women an exceptional leaders. And this, if I have to take one silver lining out of this dark cloud that this pandemic has got us, is that a proof that women are exceptional leaders when it comes to crisis management. The way they approach a crisis is definitely different. Their perception of risk is much higher, and their thought process and alignment towards economy versus life and taking preventive steps rather than taking reactive steps is what makes them truly a leader in such times. So I hope that this pandemic has given this sense to each woman that, hey girl, there's a lot more in you. You don't have to wait for others to tell you that you are amazing. Know that for yourself. Be unapologetic you. Be what you want to be. And that's the message I would like to convey to all the others. You have the tremendous strength, and all you need to do is realize that, know what you are, understand yourself.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. And that quote, I think if we could just say, be the unapologetic you, I think this is a very nice and striking message. Thank you so much. I would like to come to Dr. Sagrika for your closing comments on the whole discussion.
Well, it was a wonderful session. I really enjoyed the various perspectives of the co-panelists, and a very short and crisp closing. I mean, sentence would be that feminism isn't about making women strong. Women are already strong, but it is only about changing the way the world perceives the strength. And that is something I think all of us, we women, need to change the glass. We need to change the glass, the way people are looking at us. It has to be different. It has to be more, I mean, it is very generalized, very, very generalized. And as also Farah spoke about, being judgmental. I think people need not be judgmental about it. We are what we are. And as Naseeha also very rightly said, the unapologetic you. So there's absolutely nothing to look behind. And we are all there with each other, and we are here to hold hands, we are here to collaborate, and we are here to move ahead with each one. And as initially Sonia also said, that that is giving a year to everyone. So we are all here. In fact, on our social handles also, we could mention our mobile numbers. That's what I have done. Mention the mobile numbers. Anybody who would want to speak, who has nobody to speak to because of people fearing judgments. People actually fear people being judgments, and they don't want to speak. So it's always better to speak to an unknown person. So on my social handles, I have mentioned that anybody who would like to strike a conversation, who would like somebody to hear what someone wants to say, I'm always available. And I think let's all just do that as women helping women, and let's all have a very robust society where we are there fearlessly moving ahead, and not only during COVID times, during all times. Thank you
Exactly.
very much. Thank you very
Exactly.
much, Policy Time, for having me here on this platform.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It was our complete pleasure to listen to all of your views.
Um, yeah.
Like you said that lending a ear is what we can do. I think we should all women. I think just to we can give one message today that in any form in the social media or any other kind of form, we are in connect with others. If we could lend a ear, that is what we can do, and listen to them, and maybe just be by their side when they want to rant or do anything. That is very important, and we will shine brighter together if we are together. So yeah, coming back to Dr. Sonia, we would like to hear your closing remark on the whole discussion and on this perspective.
I think, Ankita, it had been a wonderful discussion and a lot of great perspectives that we have shared today. And in my closing remarks, I mean, there's nothing much that is left to be spoken now that we have spoken. The only thing is that, we have to be psychologically very strong and at the same time help others who are in need of that psychological support. Financial, some can, financial, some, if you can support in other ways, you must. But I think a psychological support is something that every woman can give to her family, her friends, her whoever comes to them. And we being authors and in the so with our social media handles, we interact with a lot of other people whom we don't know. So yeah, I mean, there are success stories, there are stories that we write about, and this is all about that. How, as women, we can rise above the occasion and try and help ourselves, help the others to overcome these circumstances. And in the end, it's all about just be you. Stop being judgmental about and stop being apologetic about what you do. And I think that should summarize that. Thank you.
You need to unmute yourself, Ankita.
Sorry. So I would like to come to Dr. Farha for her closing remark on this.
Well, on a closing remark, I don't have too much to say. Just like to say at the end, like we are all, perfect. We all are strong. If a woman is strong enough to get a new life into this earth, so woman is and strong enough to do anything, right from the kitchen to the country to everything. But we have to rise a bit above the centrism feeling of centrism, like I'm the best. No, everyone is the best in their own way, as what Naseeha ma'am said, like the caption of the day, like unapologetically you. That is the perfect thing I found. And I'm very thankful to all my co-speakers. I got a lot of good points, and Ankita, you had been a very good host. And like you'll feel great if you'll help someone, if you'll help to groom someone. It gives a that great feeling cannot be expressed in word. So we have to be like available, and we have to rise above the things like making mockery of anyone, because everyone is perfect until and unless they are not affecting you or not affecting the society negatively. So everything is cool. And like you have to be the change that you want to see in the society. That is most important thing. Everything begins and starts with you, and then only it could proceed. So at the end, for women, I'd just like to say, like, women, what will I say for your definition? I have no word for your explanation, because your explanation has really no limitation. Thank you so much. And I'd like
Wow.
to say namaste, because when you are in some another country, it feels great to, like touch with your culture. So namaste, all my viewers. At the end.
Absolutely amazing. The kind of comments we got from all of you, your writings, your poets, and the small writings that we heard from Dr. Sonia and also Dr. Farah. I think it has absolutely
Yeah.
given those
You
cherry
can
on the
get
cake.
all my your hopeful things, or like some lifting up thoughts on my page on social media, Facebook or Instagram, Twitter, everywhere, Pinterest, from simple steps of life. I have written a lot of poems, a lot of thoughts. Small posters are there from simple steps of life. You can, and I'm always available over there.
Sure, definitely. And I think these small little quotes and these explanations and the ones, it was really very factful and very, relatable, that we can say what Dr. Sonia had also shared with us earlier. So we have come to the end of the show. It was amazing to have all of you and your perspectives there. To conclude, I would say that no one has ever stopped in this pandemic with all their activities, whether it is women or men. But again, women has played a massive role, like we had discussed from all this time, whether it's education, healthcare, households, to every aspect. I cannot miss anyone. Whether
Yeah,
she's managing a
the
workforce,
media as
Yeah.
well.
Mhm.
media as well, right? Like I said, no, all the professions now has a massive role. Like Nasia ma'am had said that women has maximum proportion of women in most of the companies usually, and none of them has stopped. Neither have we
Let,
stopped.
let the women empowerment be as infectious as COVID 19.
COVID
I
19.
agree with you. Yes, I
Exactly
agree with
so.
you
Yes, yes.
totally.
Exactly so. So this has been happening even before COVID, empowering and just standing by side. Not that at this moment suddenly we have not just got up suddenly and just being by each other's side, but this has been always there. But yes, in a challenging time, we try to take up all the good things as well. like we took up this, how we can be there by the side in this very challenging time, which nobody ever thought could ever come. Like we never thought that, this live discussion can happen from everybody's home, or neither Sagarika ma'am thought that she will be managing a complete school with her house, and also with, the teachers, their psychological problems, the students and everything. And neither did Dr. Sonia and Dr. Farah thought that, this time this will be the complete scenario. She is in a completely different country there, away from the, her hometown, her country,
And
her
I'm
own country.
working, I'm working, wearing
Exactly.
all those PPE. It's sometimes very suffocating, but then I feel good, like, okay, this is my profession and I have to do it.
Exactly. So no one has stopped, and neither had Naseeha ma'am. Like she said that everything is just, people are juggling everything. But again, the curve has always been, up and constant. Not at all. It has gone down. Right. I'm sure you will agree with me. Thank you so much for this wonderful evening, viewers. You were listening to our four very successful professionals, and who are authors and have written books. Some have written on women empowerment, some motivational stories, some, how their life has been during their experience in the education sectors. And all. So I'm sure you liked it, and stay safe. Be, by each other's side, whether it's women or men. Listen to them, lend your ear. That is what you can do, and shine brighter in this challenging time. Thank you so much for watching the Policy Times. We will be back at 6:30. I'm sure you won't like to miss Abhinav Bindra. He will be there at our show, speaking on very important aspects. Stay tuned to Policy Times at 6:30 to know more about that. Thank you so much, viewers, and our esteemed panelists for joining with us.
Thank you so much, Ankita. Thank you, Policy Times and
Thank you very much.
Invincible.
Thank you very
And thank you, Sonia Sagarika ma'am and Farah. Let's stay in touch.
much. I'm there on
Sure.
social media. I'm there everywhere on social media.
I'll hit you on social media.